Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Happy Flag Day to Aruba. So today, I figured that I would talk about a statement that was said in an interview quite a while ago, actually, about a week ago, which in internet time is like a year, basically. And this is actually from the same person that I talked about in my last video, Sawatari, who was talking basically, I guess, just in general about Final Fantasy XV DLC and updates, and he happened to say something that I have not seen that many people talking about, but that, in my opinion, is really cool. So shout out to my homeboy Red Makuzawa on Twitter. You guys should go follow him. He tweets like Final Fantasy and Square Enix news all the time, so if you want to keep up with all that, then go to him. And he's actually the one that tweeted about this again a couple days ago, which is how I found out about it. But basically, to not explain everything myself and bore you guys, I'm just gonna read the interview quotes straight from the interview. So they basically asked, are there other characters that you would like to explore once those 3 chapters are complete? And this is in reference to the 3 character episode DLCs that we're going to be getting throughout the year. Episode Gladio coming out in a couple weeks, episode Prompto coming out in July, I want to say, and then episode Ignis coming out sometime in the fall, presumably. And Sawatari said, outside of the 3 current episode DLCs, we don't have anything beyond that, but this year is all about giving back to our fan base. So if we were to continue the DLC, we would probably see what the feedback is. What character would you want to see an episode for? And then the person who was doing the interview said probably Iris, and later on Sawatari went on about how a lot of people would have picked Aranea to have a DLC, so they are talking about the possibility of getting more character episode DLCs than just the 3 for the main party, which is awesome. Now, as always, we should not take this as confirmation that this is ever going to happen, and like Sawatari said, they are not working on anything currently, so there's that. Or maybe they are working on them currently and he's just saying that because he's not allowed to tell us yet. Who knows? But no, in my opinion, it would make sense that they would want to release the first 3 DLCs and then see what the reaction to those is, if there is enough support for it, if they make enough money from them, and if it would be worthwhile making DLC for some other characters. Now, the ones specifically mentioned in this are Iris and Aranea, because I guess that's like everybody's 2 favorite waifus, and those are the ones that everybody would want. But this opens the door for so many more DLCs that we could get that could explain so much more about Final Fantasy XV. It would be awesome. Let me actually pull up my playlist of videos that I made for Final Fantasy XV characters and see just who we could get some DLC for. Okay, so we got Gentiana, which I don't really see that one happening, honestly. Like, it would be awesome, don't get me wrong, to get to see her story. Actually, maybe if she got some DLC, we could find out what exactly happened with her and Arden when he, like, quote-unquote killed her, or what actually happened, way back whenever that is, that ended up happening, we don't know. And it would also give us a little bit more insight on the whole mythology of Final Fantasy XV, having to do with the gods and all that kind of stuff, which is not really explained all that well, at least not in the game itself. And of course, Gentiana's like the best character, obviously, so like, they have to have a Gentiana DLC. Let's see, we got Core, who I doubt will get one because he's gonna have a very major role in the Gladio DLC, so maybe they'll end up doing something like that with the other characters, so episode Prompto and Ignis might have some other partner that is with them throughout the majority of the episode or whatever, so who knows, I guess we'll end up seeing. And then you have Idolus or Idolus. Now we're getting into villain territory. If we got some DLC for the villains, even if it was just one general one for all of them, that would help so much. Because like I mentioned in my previous video, specifically Idolus and Ravus did not get jack shit in the game. Like, spoilers if you've not played Final Fantasy XV, although I'm assuming most of you have. But again, like I mentioned earlier, Idolus and Ravus just kind of die off screen and you never get to see what happened with them. I mean, they did promise that in the Chapter 13 patch they are going to show a little bit more about them, maybe more than just the one scene that Idolus has in the entire game, and that's it. But getting to see what actually was going on inside Niflheim with, Arden and how he got to manipulating everybody. Can you guys imagine that? Seeing everything from Arden's perspective while the game is going on? That would be fucking awesome. Then we have Regis, which I don't really know what they could do for a Regis DLC other than just, like, make Kingsglaive playable, which honestly would not even be that bad. The episode Kingsglaive, can you guys imagine that? We get to play as Nyx, and we get to actually see Luna for some part of the game more than just the one chapter that she was in, and we'd get to fight General Glaucon. Oh my god, this is too awesome! They need to do this! You know how everybody complained that we didn't get those old versus stuff in Final Fantasy XV because half of it was cut out to put in Kingsglaive? This would fix that. kind of. I mean, you would still need to pay for the beginning of the game, basically, but at least we would have it. Then you have Sid and Cindy, which I don't really think that there's that many people asking for a Cindy DLC, but I guess if people ask for it, we could get something. Maybe with them, we would get to see what happens during the 10 years while Noctis is asleep, because I don't believe that that is happening with any of the 3 character DLCs. There was some theories about it, but the majority of the people think that the Gladio one is going to take place when he leaves the party halfway through the game. He's just like, yeah, I got some shit to take care of, peace, and then he's out. And then the Ignis one will likely take place in between Noctis getting knocked out in the Leviathan fight and when we next see him, because he kind of goes blind in between that. And they never really explain it. And then the Prompto one, originally I thought that that would take place while Prompto got basically knocked off the train by Noctis, and then we find him at the end like basically crucified in God, what was the name of the city? Gralia, I want to say? Niflheim? However, the more and more I think about it, the less and less I think that that is actually likely. Because as awesome as it would be, in my opinion, to see Prompto go through that and then like behind the scenes kill Versteal, the little son of a bitch, fucking Hojo ass motherfucker. We did get to see that one very short little clip of Prompto, which is supposedly going to be for the DLC. And I don't know, it doesn't look like that would be a part of it because, well, he's wearing a different outfit, and to me he looks a little bit younger. Like, I'm thinking maybe this will take place before Final Fantasy 15 and sort of explain a little bit of Prompto's backstory. And I'm not talking about, like, Brotherhood backstory. We're not gonna get to play as Plumpto, although I would not be complaining if we got to play as Plumpto. But when he was obviously, like, a little bit older before he went on the mission with Noctis and all the stuff that he did, because they did say in interviews from way back when, and I don't know if this is still canon, but they ended up bringing back the whole MT thing with Prompto, so I don't know, maybe this is still in the game. But they did say that he was from like a bad side of town and that he had to do with a bunch of stuff because supposedly like guns were outlawed in Insomnia, even though he still has one for whatever reason, and then all this stuff because he wasn't supposedly from there, despite the fact that he talks as if he was from there, probably because he moved to Lucis when he was very young, as we do see him in Brotherhood, from Niflheim. And even though Ignis has been living there since he was young, which we do see in the Prompto episode as well, he still has an accent which doesn't make any sense and they never explain it. What the fuck? I wish that there was just some tiny little reference in the game to Ignis being from Niflheim or Tenebrae, honestly, whichever one, because the accents, they line up so perfectly. But there was nothing. I guess it is a Japanese game, and in the Japanese one the accent is probably not different, since I mean there's multiple Japanese accents, but they're all from the same country. So they probably really don't care, but I don't know. I just wish that there was something there for that. And then finally, we have, of course, Luna DLC, which in my opinion, that's the one that I actually, like, realistically want the most out of all the other ones. If any of you guys watch The Lore Runner, he's a pretty cool YouTuber. He, you know, makes videos about, like, you know, lore in video games and all that kind of stuff. He coined this term basically called Princess Peach segments. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically in Paper Mario, there is segments where you get to play as Princess Peach and basically see what is going on from her perspective and get a little bit more about the story because of that, like, quote-unquote bullshit that they said that, oh, we want to make Final Fantasy 15 Noctis' story, despite the fact that now in the patch for Chapter 13, you're not gonna see Noctis' perspective, you're gonna see Gladio's. Or both, actually. I don't know how it's gonna work. Like, when you start Chapter 13, are you gonna get a choice like, oh, do you want to go with Noctis or do you want to go with Gladio? And of course, everybody's gonna pick Gladio because we've been playing as Noctis all game long. We want to see what Gladio is like. But regardless, it's no longer Noctis' story, so it doesn't really matter. And if they had Luna DLC where we actually got to see what was going on with her in Niflheim, it would not only give us the perspective from the villain side that I was talking about earlier and get to see what's going on with Arden and Idalis and Versteal and Ravis and all of them, but we would also see her talking to the gods and get the same perspective that we would have if it was Gentiana, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Like, Luna's is literally perfect. If episode Luna DLC does not happen, I am going to fly to Japan and go up to the Square Enix building, grab a handful of salt, and throw it at the wall. That'll show Tabata. In all seriousness though, the fact that they're even talking about this to begin with shows that they are willing to do it if we show enough support, so we gotta show Square Enix that we really want this to happen if we really want this to happen. Be sure to let me know in the comments which character you would like to see DLC for the most, but I guess either way, that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe, and as always, stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy. See you guys.